and welcome to our first junior online art lesson. Today we're going to be making an artwork. There's also a board game that you're going to be able to play at home, and it's based on one of my favourite books, which is The Hungry Caterpillar. Okay, so now we're going to start doing our board game, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw on our sheet of paper here where the hungry caterpillar is going to live. Now, where do you think you could find a caterpillar if you were looking for one at home? Unfortunately, usually where we find caterpillars is in vegetable gardens, and this isn't always good because they can eat through our vegetables and our fruits. So we're going to draw our caterpillars where the caterpillar lives first. So we're going to start by drawing a vegetable garden. So I've got myself a nice big piece of paper here. Just do your best with whatever you've got at home, and we're going to start by drawing a vegetable garden. We're going to think of what kind of vegetables that you could find in the veggie pack. So I started off by drawing a tomato, and to draw a tomato all you need to do is to draw a circle, and it doesn't matter if, like mine, your circle is not perfect because tomatoes come in lots of different shapes. And then once you've drawn a circle, you draw what's like a bit of a star, and again it doesn't have to be perfect, and that's the leaves of the tomato. And then right here you just draw a little bit of a line, and that's the stem, and that's where the tomato connects onto the tomato vine. So see if you can do that at home. A round circle, a bit of a star, and then a stem. What's this fibre Linda's drawn? Well, this is my attempt at drawing a carrot. And what I've done is I've just drawn quite a long triangle shape, and I've made round edges instead of our normal edges of a triangle. And then I put a couple of lines along the carrot just to make it look a little bit more round. And up the top here, this is the top of the carrot. This is the part that grows out of the ground, and this is representing the leaves of the carrot. And I've just done it like a couple of cartoon type trees with a stem and then the bushy parts to it. So see if you can draw something like that. Here we have my broccoli, a very healthy vegetable, and basically I just did broccoli a little bit like drawing a tree with branches, but I made the stem a lot wider, and that gives it more of a bushy broccoli. Some fresh peas in a pod. So if you look at the shape of that, it is basically, again, a sort of circle type shape, but it's really pulled in at the bottom, and then a circle within a circle, and then lots of little circles. I've put some leaves on top and a bit of a stem similar to our carrot, and if you can see these little shading lines there, you might want to have a go at those. That just makes it look like it's round, and it's just two little lines on each one. And here we go, here is a beetroot. Love beetroot, very delicious. And again, similar to the tomato, it's just a round circle, though it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. In fact, most beetroot aren't. It's got a little tail on the bottom, and then it's got some leafy stalks shooting out the top. Here's my vegetable patch all drawn in pencil on my big piece of paper, and now I get to colour it in. So have a think about what you've got at home that you can use to colour in your vegetable garden. Have you got colouring in pencils, crayons, twistables? Are you lucky enough to have some paint at home or some chalk pastels? Have a think about what you've got, and the first thing you're going to do is go around the outside of the vegetables in a light green. When I was doing the supermarket shopping, I was lucky to come across this paint set at Countdown. So if you are wanting to get some paints during the lockdown, this is something that you might be able to find at your local supermarket. Here's my green, and you'll see from my green that I haven't
fully covered the whole lot of the paper. I've let a bit of white show through. That's fine. We're just getting an impression of green, and that's from the green of the other plants that we'd find in the veggie garden from their leaves. Down the bottom of the picture, we're going to put a little bit of brown. Up the top, a little bit of blue. Brown for the soil and blue for the sky. So now we've done our background. We've got a little bit of a brown tinge to the bottom, which is our soil. We've got green in the middle, which is our leaves, and we've got a little bit of blue up on the top, which represents our sky. Now we're ready to colour in those delicious looking vegetables. Okay, whānau, here is me having coloured in my peas in a pea pod, and you'll see that I've used much darker colours than the background of the vegetable garden, and that's because I really wanted my pea pod to stick out and for it to be able to be seen really easily and not get lost in the background. So I've chosen darker greens. The pea pod itself, I used a dark green pencil to colour in, and then the peas, I've actually found a green pen on my desk, and so it's just a green normal writing pen like what you use at school, and I've coloured in my peas with that just so that they're a slightly different shade. Now, I don't know if you remembered to draw those little lines in on your peas that we had earlier, but if you did, when you go to colour in your peas, leave those white. If you see, it looks really cool. It looks like they're shining in the sunlight. And then around the outside of my pod, I just went around in the dark green pen again, just to give more of an outline. Now here is my juicy red tomato, looking delicious. Bit of a fun fact, did you know that tomatoes, even though we have them in salads and in our first course for our meals, they're not actually vegetables? That's right, people, they're actually considered fruits. They have seeds inside them. So next time you look at a tomato, think fruit. And what you'll see here that I've had a go again with my paint that I got from the supermarket, and then I've gone around the outline of the circle with the darker colour pen. My top of my tomato there, I did the outline in dark green pen again like I had with my peas, and then coloured in with a lighter shade on the inside. So there's our tomato. Here's my broccoli, which I've coloured in. As with the other fruits and vegetables, I've gone around the outside with a darker coloured pen, and then I've coloured in the inside. And this time I had some chalk, so I just had a go with using some chalk to do the inside. You can use just whatever you've got at home. The rest of my vegetables now. There's my carrot, coloured in orange, and up into the green stalk, and then my lovely purple beetroot. Okay whānau, so our vegetable patch is finished, and now it's time to have a go at making our caterpillar. I'm going to use another sheet of paper the same size as the one that I just did my vegetable garden on, and that way I know that my caterpillar is going to fit really well over the top of this. Part of our art project is to figure out where you are with your maths. So think back to what you last did when you were at school in maths. Were you doing your numbers from 0 to 10? Were you doing numbers from 0 to 20, up to 100, or even 1000? And that's going to make a difference as to how you proceed with your caterpillar. So if you know your numbers from 0 to 10, or if you're working on your numbers 0 to 10, then your caterpillar is going to have it on it to the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you know your numbers up to 20, then you'll have all the way through to 20. If you have your numbers up to 100, you can decide if you want to use all the numbers up to 100, or if you just want to skip count in 5s or skip count in 10s. And finally, if you have numbers up to 1,000, Well, you're probably not going to want to do all the numbers to 1,000, though you can if you want to. It's going to be a very long game though. You might want to think about skip counting in hundreds for that one. So my caterpillar is going to be up to 20, numbers up to 20. So I'm going to be modelling my caterpillar on the cool caterpillar from the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And can you see his body is divided into lots of different sections? So if you can think of every one of those sections as having a different number in your board game. So if I'm doing numbers to 20, then I'm going to want 20 little different sections of his body to make up my whole board game. If I was working on numbers to 10, I would just choose 10 little parts of his body. So working through the different sections here, I just want 10 of these, 20 if I'm doing 20, and then more if I'm doing... So if, for example, we're doing numbers to 20, we're going to be drawing 20 small circles in the shape of our caterpillar. So let's see how we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and you'll see number 20 is a much bigger circle, and that's because the last number is the head of the caterpillar, and we want to make the head, the finish line, really big. Drawn your caterpillar, then you want to fill in all the numbers for your game. Then you want to give your caterpillar some shoes or some feet, and so on your number 1 and 2 you're going to add your shoes, and then for the last couple of numbers you're going to add some shoes as well. Don't put shoes on the head, we don't wear shoes on our heads, do we? Head some nice big eyes and a cute little mouth and a couple of antennae. Then it's time to colour in your caterpillar. I think just a light green pencil is best for this. You don't want anything too dark or too heavy, because then you're not going to be able to see the numbers underneath. So just a light colouring in with a coloured pencil. Sure, and colour the head a different colour to the rest of the body. This will just make it stand out and make sure people know that it's the head. I'm going to go around the outside of each of my circles again with my green pen, just to make it a bit darker. If you don't have a green pen like this at home, you can use a black one, otherwise you can just leave it. Now it's time to colour in our feet. Don't forget to colour in the face and the antennae. So that's our caterpillar all coloured in, and you'll see that the circles that I've done aren't very big circles compared to the whole lot of the paper, and that's because when I cut them out and put them in the garden, I don't want it to take away all the beautiful vegetables and fruits that we've done. I don't want it to cover up, so I've left my circles reasonably small. Right, now it's time to colour in, or go over the top of the numbers that we've got here. I'm going to use a dark black felt pen, and that way my numbers are going to show out really well. There's my numbers all drawn on nice and big and bold. If you're still learning your numbers, get mum and dad or whoever's looking after you in your lockdown to just check your numbers, make sure you've got them all right before you go from pencil through to permanent pen like this. Okay whānau, the next thing we're going to do is to cut out our caterpillar. Make sure you've got some nice safe scissors to use, nothing too sharp, something like what you'd use at school. Otherwise you might want to get somebody to help you with this part. And we're basically just going to cut around the outside of the caterpillar, and we're going to try and keep him all in one piece if possible, and then he's going to be glued on top of our vegetable garden. So we're going to cut out our caterpillar and just do the neatest job that you can. I know some of you are still learning to use scissors, others of you have been using scissors for a long time. Just do your best to cut out your caterpillar, and
then we're going to be able to stick him on top of our veggie garden. So you've got to cut round the feet. Be careful, try not to cut his little boots off, and keep going all the way around to where you are. If you find it really hard to cut around each individual circle, if that's a bit too fiddly for you at the moment, you can cut your caterpillar out like that, and that's just by following the line of the shape of the caterpillar. But if you can start cutting out individually around each one, if that's something that you feel you can do, go for it, because that's going to look the best. Now, the bits that are the hardest to cut out are definitely the little boots and the little antennae on top of the head. Now, if you do have a bit of a whoopsie and end up accidentally cutting off a boot or an antennae, don't panic, because this is all getting glued down on top of the vegetable garden. So don't lose the boot, don't throw it away. When we glue down the caterpillar, you'll be able to glue down the missing boot or antennae at that point. So it's all good, people. It's all good. So I'm working away here around my circles, cutting out as neat as I can all the different parts of the caterpillar body, and then we're going to glue it onto our veggie garden. So what you'll need once you've finished this is some sort of glue, preferably a glue stick like we use at school, or if you don't have a glue stick at home, see if mum and dad have some, or your caregiver has some PVA, whatever glue you can find in your house during this lockdown. And I hope everyone is managing to have some fun and do some cool things during lockdown. It's a great chance to get creative and to do lots of making and drawing and things like that. Okay, so here is my caterpillar all cut out. I didn't actually manage to lose any boots or antennae, but as I said, we could always have stuck them on later if that was a problem. So I've got my glue stick here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue all of my caterpillar, and I'm going to do one circle at a time, and I don't want to miss out any of my caterpillar because then it's not going to stick down properly. And we've got our picture, and we're going to put our caterpillar on top of our veggie garden. You can display your caterpillar any way you like. I think it looks quite good, this one here. I think he might be eating some carrot. And then just pat it down so that it glues in. And I didn't forget, I put some glue on my antennae, and I put some glue on the little boots as well. Here's our hungry caterpillar, and he is munching and crunching his way through the veggie garden. So there's one last thing that we need to do to be able to play our game, and that is we're going to make some little cards. And this is, instead of using a dice, we're going to make wee playing cards, and we're going to stick them on the corner of our picture. Okay, so you would have had some card left over from cutting out your caterpillar. That was where my caterpillar used to be. And we're going to use this card now to make some little wee playing cards for our game. So what you're going to do is you're going to chop up the card into little wee squares. So you just need to get a ruler and roll a line across, and then cut across that, and then chop down into squares. Right, I've got these little cards left now, and I'm going to be putting simple maths equations on these to help us play our game. Now you'll have to think about what numbers you've got to with this game, numbers to 20, I'm probably just going to be using a +1, -1, and I would make a few of those. I'd make a few plus and -2, and a few plus and -3, but I'd make more of the 1s and 2s than of the 3s, because you don't want the game to be over too soon. If I was doing numbers to 50 or 100 or 1,000, then I would be putting bigger numbers in, according to what you're comfortable with your maths at the moment. Right, so I've got my little cards now that all filled out, and now I'm going to put them on my playing board, and then I'll be ready to play my game. So here are my cards, and I'm just going to draw a bit of a square so I know where the cards go on my board, and I'm going to write CARDS, cards, and now I know that that's where the cards sit on my playing board. The last thing you might want to do is give your game a name. So you might want to put the Hungry Caterpillar or Caterpillar Munching Numbers, or whatever name you want to put on your game. Think of something creative. All there's left to do is play the game, and I've got my son Elijah here. He's going to have a go with me, and you're going to need a couple of little markers. Elijah, you're the puppy dog, and I'm the battleship.
I want to be the battleship.
Okay, you can be the battleship. So then Elijah's going to go first. He's going to pick up one of the little cards. And what does it say?
+2.
+2. So that means that he can move his battleship 2 spaces. Awesome. So now it's my turn. Okay, oh, I got a -1. Well, I can't go anywhere near -1 at the moment because that would be backwards, so I'm going to just miss a turn. Okay, Elijah, your turn.
+3.
+3. He always wins when we play. So that's our caterpillar art project for this week. Just a wee hint, make sure you do a few more pluses than you do minuses, otherwise you'll end up going backwards too much. So you need a few more plus cards than minus cards. Other than that, that's a really fun game, and I'm hoping you enjoyed that as an art project as well. See you next week for more Art in a Bubble. Kia ora. I'd love to see what you come up with, so please, once you've finished your art projects, send them to me, take a photo and email them to me at belindacullenreid.merin.school.nz. I'd love to see how you got on.